having built these things, they have played a little on this. While that was a different thing, you see here this corners is like before, and these edge pieces is what I was just talking to you about. And you see also this nice beautiful shape. Nice corner rounded shape has two features. One of them is it is rounded, so chances of its chipping and denting are small, and it looks like the classical dog's bone, bones which with the dogs play, no? So we have made these things attractive by calling it a bone. Even if you are not having all this side projections, you have seen this, no? We have projection here, and then you see all this, the beauty of all these things. My suggestion is, if it's a small quantity and if it is already a hardware which is bought off the shelf, look for an appropriate enclosure so that you can do the system building. Somebody else has done this subsystem or the PCB for you. Why stop there? Is it possible for us to make it little more rigid? Now if you examine these things properly, a little bit of detail in the corner is okay, but these two side members are made out of metal. The moment they are metal, you have some positive things. One of them is it will be tremendously tough. It will not crack. Stiff, tough, any other positive words you can use, nothing will happen to it. At least if two of the members are made with this, and then these other acrylic or plastic members are assembled together, you have a extremely rigid and functional case. And a little related to is, in case it falls, if you see these corners and all, no, if you properly detail the corners, chances are it will never chip. So we do not know that thing about bread falling and the buttered side falls first. I do not know if it's true or not here, but the thing is, even if it falls, they have made sure that only these corners, which are all metallic, face the. Here you see a little closer, you see, no, just another view of the same thing by the same company which makes it Beagle Bone. And very highly appropriate, interesting thing is all these connectors and all maintain their position very well. And then you see here these left and right members have 4 mounting holes. So you can attach a panel and make it as good as you want it. And you see even the small detailing here, this step here is a little over by two thicknesses, thickness of the sheet metal and thickness of this, by which it holds all the parts together, and incidentally this also helps us in having access to the connector on this side, so that in case there is a shell which projects out, it makes sure that it sits properly. There are just other views about it. See, now you see a little from the top. You have full access to anything you want here. If you have a connector, you can have, but then just next to the connector you have that opening on the top, so that if it's one of the spectra strip right angled insulation displacement headers, it directly goes into this. Then you have a USB socket here. Similarly, you have various other types of, I do not know, it's one of those computer connectors. So you have here variants of this whole thing. Can you see? Well, that one has a sheet metal. They have tried to build this here using stacks of acrylic. So if you have a flat acrylic sheet, it's very much possible for you nicely to build up all these thicknesses. Seen that? And then you see what I would call genius thing is you have a power supply in, I do not know if it's a 5 volts or 6 volts or 12 volts. All these connectors and all come as part of the original printed wiring module that you have bought from them. And then just to accommodate that small thickness, they have given a still big opening so that your cover, you can open the cover and then happily things sit there without any hindrance. So if I keep trying to get closer and all that, you see here how nice these things are. Now you may appreciate the one which I was talking to. There the front and back panels have the overhang, and in this case no, you have this. Now you see these beautiful corners. The whole thing is still a plastic material, most likely it's an acrylic. And then it also has reinforcements in the corner. It has these projections and it has all this. And the miracle is, in the end, it's going to fit as if it's a jigsaw puzzle. And one particular sequence, if you follow, if you have a jigsaw puzzle and particular sequence, if you follow, you remove the last piece and one after the other, you can take it apart. Similarly, you can put everything together and put the locking piece in place and you have a rigid board. And we are in modern times. Often the file is available for you to download. If you have the file, you can cut it in rapid prototyping. I'm sure some of you at least were waiting for this. We needed to make this small spacer. You would have seen this in the video, or you'll have a chance to see it in the video. You'll see here, see this spacer? This is part of a shoe. So we have a printed circuit board which goes in a shoe. And then we need this on top, and after that the various things like other sole and insole and all that. I think one side we have an insole, other side we have a sole, and then the shoe upper and all is stitched in this. This is very convenient way of making. First of all, we can always start with a few pieces. Whole thing has been released from here. First piece releasing is no problem. And then if you are to make a CAD drawing, making it left and right symmetrical is no big deal. It's always a mirror image. And then you can happily release this thing. You have seen this, no? You have feet here and so on. That is the advantage of our packaging. It's not correct to use it as a word called technology. It's now accessible. Just like a inkjet or laser printer is available for you, eventually we expect that this laser cutter also will eventually be available. Features you can see is it's optimized. I have one set of shoes here, another set here. Then by turning it over, the amount of sheet used can be optimized. Thing very much related to is this whole thing is not done by 3D printing. Instead, it is made by laser cutting of a thickness. So if you keep going down further, you will end up with this beautiful enclosures. This is one of them which has been made by our students in our electromechanics lab. This one is a acrylic sheet. You can also make it, as I said, make it in polycarbonate, or there are other materials here. The main feature being the whole thing has been done by laser cutting. You can make out, it doesn't look like as if it was it's made of a sheet metal thing. I will not risk opening it. If I risk opening it, I may damage it. And then you see the conventional hardware, including a connector which goes to the motor and including all these various types of D sub miniature connectors, and finally the power supply part of it have been mounted on it as if it were a professionally made device. And then related to this is also all this instructions on how to mount these things. And then our research students have been very, very good in that, and they have been able to make these things very interesting. So I have a beautiful enclosure here made with all the attention to detail, and then it's a wonder I can't do it. I'm very happy that I can only talk about it, and the students now have taken it to the next level. Please keep looking at it. Please keep looking at it. Meanwhile, I'll see whether I can bring something else. Now I'll come back and I'll show you a few other materials, samples that have been made here. Color is different. It looks insignificant, but the reality being this can be a filter. You can take the usual LED red colored filter or any other items and do the same thing, and you have a front panel which can also form part of the final display we'd like to make. So I have all these nice small details, and your basic thing will be ready. I'll now see whether I have some more pictures here. Do you remember this? I had shown this to you in the initial stages. Due to enthusiasm of our students, they have tried to print it and then try to make it out of rapid prototyping so that it is nearest to the concept. But let us say in the beginning you wanted to try the first model to see whether the total volume and all is correct. This whole thing could have been easily made in plastic sheets. As part of these plastic sheets, for example, if you can build different thicknesses here, you can have a thickness there and a thickness here, and instead of fully trying to make it a full organic shape, you can just try to round off the corners. And you see here we have this small plate here. This can be probably made with an acrylic material with openings, and if the LEDs just come and touch the surface, the color will come through, and the different colored materials can be used for the top and bottom. And instead of making it look not so great by making it like this, using our laser cutting technique, this could have been easily achieved because we have full white colored acrylic is available, or even some variants of PVC are possible. Similarly, we have orange and other color of acrylic. So this whole thing could have been built probably in 6 layers, bottom 3 in one layer, top 3 in another layer, and then round off all the corners. And eventually, why that 6 layer is, while this is the top layer, this next layer will contain the details of what looks like a front panel. And then below that, the next 2 layers will be used for all the electronics that come there. So we have chance of working on all such items, so that very easy for us to see this. So if somebody were to make a unit like this, it can be just a hobby, or it can be a starting point for an actual product. These days, if you see several things like our table fans and indoor coolers, all of them, they all come with a remote. It's very much possible for us to make the initial models using build up or assembly together of plastic sheets. And in case you have a laser cutter, it's easy, otherwise it's available online. If you can make a file and upload it, very easy for you to make all these items as they come together. You see here an electromechanical device which was developed by us for trying to carry out some analysis on drugs and something which inhibits the growth of one type of whatever pathogen we have there. So, it will be probably a tall claim to call it antimitotic, but it is a simple anti-proliferative device. The device itself being, we have a plate here in which we have all these small wells, and then we keep a hybrid seed in it which is sensitive to one particular compound that may be present in the feed that is given fed to it. You see all these small cups and all that no are all made in plastic, and this main carrier has been made in stainless steel. Then you have here another plate here which has some homing and keying data saying it will adjust what is the pitch of these things and so on. The carousel can be interchanged, and this carousel in conjunction with this rotating device we can carry out scientific experiments. Why this is being shown as here is, in such cases whatever I have spoken to you makes sense. The controller can be made using all our plastic materials, and this one is a dropping mechanism which is used which is made in sheet metal. If you see, the base material is sheet. Once again, if you see all these things, various types of sheets have been added here. This is only a rough prototype. This is not a production model. You see here, in case you look at the market, if you can think of something, remember that somebody else also would have thought about it, and probably it's available for you for purchase. So you have the standard enclosures with several the other detailing that I was trying to talk to you. In this case, do you remember this corner? A nice beautiful corner and something somewhat related to this. This is exactly what I was trying to tell you. In the first initial stage, if you want, you can make all these things, not impossible. And you want to come to actual producible items, you have a rubber gasket here. This rubber gasket sits flush with this other surface, and then you have a practically water and dust proof enclosure. So if you can look at the internet, most of these things are probably available to you. See this here, slight bit of detail. There is a threaded portion here, and then there is also a recess on top. Something you would like to see is probably there is a small step here which goes and corresponds to this, and that will make sure that to one level you can make these things waterproof. So I will see if I can go out and locate a few more items which I had kept for you. Yeah, I have them. Any more detail will be very confusing. Observe this a little carefully. Instead of just directly trying to put all the parts together by just overlapping with each other, a little bit of a small hardware detail has been added here in this corner. This hardware detail is some type of a fastener, which of course patented, which will ensure both of them sit together. You've seen this. It looks a little like a clip. Main feature being inexpensive. So if you push the clip inside here, this has a both vertical and horizontal thing, you see how it seems to hold the other pieces together. All it needs is a small step inside and it snaps in place. And if you search around in your local shops, you can probably find all these fasteners to put them together, or to help you concentrate on your basic electronic design, you should probably buy the enclosure which comes with these devices when they come. See this beautiful, everything seems to be getting better and better. So many of these things are there. They all come in a kit. And have you noticed something about this kit? As it is supplied, it is cut by laser cutting, and you still have the protective sheet on top of it. So most likely it is quite possible for you. You can continue to use the protective sheet and continue with your work. You can write things, or if it has been etched carefully, probably things like this audio in, audio out, S video, DVI, and then the serial port, power port, and all those things are already tagged and ready for you to be used properly. So I'll just keep having a look at it. I'll just try to pick up one sample which I showed to you in the video. I need not explain what it is. If you have seen the video, you'll know what it is. This whole thing is an acrylic sheet, and it comes with the backing sheet, and then various openings and all have been done, and then you have this place for all these projections. See the thick being, the main advantage being you can do whatever you want to do with it. So some of our students have completed, they have started building this whole thing. See here we have a, I think you know better about it, what these things are. So we have an encoder, then we have a motor which has a gearbox, and then there is also a caster wheel, and then they have tried to put some sensors, and at the moment you have sensors, and then you have a receiver with a little tube and all this, no? You know what it is. It's a beautiful technical game, not for geeks. These days, no, anybody plays, anybody can play with these things. Hopefully, to prevent you from getting saturated, I'll stop here, and then in the next lecture I'll try to continue how to create these objects. So far it is all about talking about how we assemble these things together. We have a few pieces, and then I was talking to you about 2 or 3 things. One of them is saying, you think about the final enclosure, how much space is required. If it's a standard enclosure, probably it already comes with a standard hardware, comes with somebody who has worked with the whole thing, and with an enclosure which is available off the shelf. If you need to add on anything, make it a little bigger, you can always do it by the techniques I have shown. If you want a really weatherproof enclosure, you need to go to the web. Several people supply these enclosures to most known sizes and shapes. Only disadvantage being, as things stand out, it is not as if the last design has been made. Always, designs keep coming, and then things have started becoming smaller. Alternatively, they are more complicated, hence a little slightly bigger enclosure or a different aspect, you have a different system. So in the next contact, I will try to see whether I can show you how to use a standard enclosure, how to select a standard enclosure, and then how best we can make it such that it suits your application. we have a little problem, no? What comes first? You learn the technology and look for an application for it, or you dream up an application and try to make a technology for it. Both are there, they run parallel all the time. So sometimes we make sense. Otherwise, things like this beautiful glasses, my hearing aid, my dentures, including my watch, wouldn't have been possible. Technology is there, was being used elsewhere. Now the whole thing no comes here. So these days, you can probably even make a watch. In fact, we have a sample program which came with our 3D printer, a fully working clock can be printed in one go. You make everything, and then all it requires is probably a little pendulum and some motive, an electric motor, and the whole clock keeps working. So thank you. Let's meet again in the next class. Thank you.